Welcome, my friends. Micaela. Did I say your name correctly this time, my friend?
Yes.
Amazing. So share a little bit about who you are to the dear audience, Micaela. Like, who are you about? The topic we get to talk about is how emotions dictate your revenue. Woo! That is a deep question.
Yes, thank you so much, Tanya, for having me here this morning. And so great to see everybody. My name is Micaela Passeri, and I am an emotional intelligence business strategist. So what I do is something really unique. I marry the business practicality of income generating in your business with the subconscious mind reprogramming of your emotional baggage. Because let's face it, we're emotional beings. We feel every single thing on a daily basis. And our emotions are really what drive our results, our decisions, our actions, and they're absolutely the predictor of how much money you're going to make. In fact, I can measure people's emotional vibration, emotional frequency, and I can tell you exactly how much you're calibrated to earn, because just think about it this way. If I am triggered into anger, fear, pride, the bad pride, not the good pride, grief, I'm in a very low vibrating state. So how can I manifest? How can I generate something that's way above where I'm at? There's too big of a disconnect. And so that's really what I do is I help people recognize what parts of their emotional past, their trapped emotions in the subconscious, and the disempowering conversations that have been triggered from those experiences and are leading people in the actions or non-actions that they're taking in their business. And that's what is driving their results. So that's basically what I do in a nutshell.
Amazing, amazing. So let's see here. So the first question is, what is your, like, we all have a hot moment and all that fun stuff in the past. So what is your comeback story from self-doubt and into resilience?
Oh my gosh, how much time do we have? Right? It's like, Um, I was born and raised in Florence, Italy, and I'm half Italian, half American. And when I say that, people say, "Oh my God, you're so lucky! Oh, that's great." And yes, I'm very grateful and very blessed to have had the opportunity to grow up on both sides of the world, right, and to have America and Italy as my homes, because they are both. But it wasn't always that way, right? Growing up in Italy and in a very women oppressive, patriarchal type of society, I really felt the effect of feeling inferior, feeling less than, from, all of the societal, all of the kind of imposed limitations. And that feeling of inferiority, that feeling of being less than, not being worthy because I am a woman, because I wasn't smart enough, because whatever you want to add to that, really drove a lot of my initial, first part of my life. It really drove a lot of my initial experiences and results. So what what did it drive me into? It drove me into, relationships, both with business partners and romantic partners that were not supportive, that were actually taking a lot from me, to the point where I gave away over $150,000, right? Because my inner conversation was such that I was compensating and I was making up for that feeling of being inadequate that I took on from my upbringing. I took on from certain interactions and relationships and situations. I took on from tragedy, in my life. For example, my father passed away when I was 20 in a horrible car accident in Bulgaria. And it was, it just threw my life in a very deep downward cycle. So for me, really understanding how to navigate everything that was going within me, the grief, the sadness, the betrayal, the abandonment, the feeling of not worthiness, no self-love, no self-confidence, no self-esteem, like feeling all of that, and just it all kind of culminated together. I just wanted to understand how not to feel bad anymore. I just didn't want to feel that sense of doom and gloom every morning when I woke up. And so it was really through a deep introspective process and really continuously pushing myself to, having my goal and my inner calling of, okay, how can I switch this feeling around? How can I wake up in the morning and feel good and feel happy? How can I create the results that I want in my life instead of constantly giving, giving, giving and feeling, being left with nothing, or basically being taken advantage of, therefore losing, things that I had gained, whether it was money, whether it was, things, properties, things like that, right?
Mm.
So it was really just that understanding of, okay, where did all of these conversations come from? They came from disempowering experiences, negative emotional experiences from my past that I had to rework. I had to reframe, right? From those disempowering conversations of not feeling good enough to more empowering conversations. And when I did that, my whole world turned around. It was like the clouds, those doom and gloom clouds left. The sun was always shining, and I'm now living my dream. I'm actually, leading a life that is of my own choosing. I live part-time in Italy, part-time in America, and I drive everything that I do based on observing my emotional landscape and changing my perception, changing my perspective, shifting, just really dancing with my emotions and with my interpretations of what's happening so that I can really be at my top performance and I can be at my highest level. So,
Around that, like shifting, when we talk about shifting, it's all about like choosing to let something go, and there's always price to pay on shifting. Around that, how did you turn it around to be okay to let people down when you choose yourself, like your own self-worth, your own career path, and being in your power? Like, how did you learn that gift to be okay with people's reaction on what you choose?
well, first and foremost, I'm 100% responsible for myself. Right? I'm not responsible for anybody else. So all I get to do is I get to choose what's best for me. I get to choose from what's my next better feeling place, and I get to choose based on my principle and my values. If I do that all the time, then whatever happens on the outside is really none of my business. However, people react to what I do or say is none of my business, just as long as I'm doing it from a place of kindness, groundedness, love, authenticity, right? I'm basing it all on my principles, self-expression. Like one of my core principles is self-expression, love, self-expression, and generosity, right? So giving. So just as long as I'm coming from that place, I can't, I'm not responsible for other people. They're responsible 100% of the time for their side of the street. I'm responsible for my side of the street. And
Mm.
so that's basically how I make peace with that. It's like if I were to worry and feel responsible for how every single person's reaction, I would go crazy.
Well,
So that's not what we're doing. That's not what life is. Life is what we're trying to experience the best life that we can as spiritual being having a physical experience, as honoring the divine in us. So the best that I could do is choose and behave from my principles.
amazing. And what is your three tools, like the top three tools that have you have most successful to shift in mode, like let out outright noises, really learn to listen to your own vision and your own voice? Like, what is the three top tools that really has served you there?
So the first thing, and this is what I teach also when I coach my clients, number one is awareness.
Yeah.
You've got to really get used to and practice bringing awareness to every single moment. And so what does that mean? Because it's kind of like this intangible thing. That just means the moment that you feel emotionally off or you feel something's being triggered, you just take a pause, you take a breath, and you just start introspecting and start saying, okay, what's this about? What's underneath this? Why am I feeling this way? And you start just asking these introspective questions. That allows you to deepen and go deeper into your awareness so that you can find out, okay, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to learn from this experience? Or what am I not seeing that I'm meant to see? Right. So for example, if I'm being triggered in the moment, and I'll just use a simple example because we're all, in business here.
Yeah.
We all have to make sales, right? No matter what business you're in, if you're not making sales, you don't have a business. So you've got to really make peace with understanding how to sell your product or service and mainly how to sell yourself. So in a sales conversation, there's a lot of stuff that comes up. For some of us, it's self-doubt. From some of us, is questioning. For some of us, is fear. So in that moment, let's say I'm in a sales conversation, and if in that moment I feel triggered because maybe the person is giving me some obstacles, some challenges, right?
Yeah.
And I'm triggered in that moment, okay, I get to say, okay, what's this? I get to take a pause. And that might look like just asking the person a question so that in the moment that they're answering the question, I can take that pause to say, okay, I'm being triggered. Let me just, settle myself, understand why I'm being triggered, and so that I can then continue and shift and navigate through the process that I'm in, which in that specific, moment, I'm in a sales conversation. Or let's take it to personal relationships. Let's say in a romantic relationship, you're having a conversation with someone and all of a sudden they say something, and it might not be a big of a deal, but you get triggered and you notice that there's something within you that's making you feel uncomfortable. Okay, take a pause. Use that awareness to say, okay, what's this about? Is it really about what they said, or is it about what they said means for me, which is
Mm,
connected to something from the past?
yeah.
Or is it really about them or about something else, a past situation? Maybe it triggered into a trauma or an experience that was really deeply hurtful, right? So it's understanding how and why our reactions are happening so that then we can move on. So awareness is key, number one. Number two is really bringing love and compassion to that part of yourself that is being triggered, that maybe is feeling less than, that maybe is, scared in the moment, right? And number three is access your courage. Courage is the catalyst of emotions. If we talking about all the negative emotions that trigger us and that really bring us astray, courage is the number one positive emotions that will get us out of any negative and low vibrating emotion. Why? Because the definition of courage is acting even though you are afraid. So
Yes.
look, we're always going to be afraid. We're always going to feel angry at some point. We're always going to be disappointed. We are going to navigate that roller coaster of emotions till the day we die. So
Yeah.
what do we do with it? The key that we get to learn is to navigate and dance with those emotions, even though we are afraid sometimes, right? And that's courage allows us to do that.
Love it.
So get to courage through awareness and compassion.
Amazing. What is your third one, Micaela?
Third one is courage. So
Amazing.
number one is awareness. Number two is just bringing love and compassion to that part of yourself that might be triggered, that might feel, a little bit uncomfortable. And number three is apply, connect with your courage. Be courageous.
Amazing. Amazing. In the intro talk, we talk about like your ninja trick around emotion. Can you share that, like that amazing tool you shared with me? I just love that tool.
Yeah. So, if you follow me on socials and get my emails, you'll find that I talk a lot about how the various emotions, negative emotions, because we're focusing on how to work with those so that we can shift and be our highest and best self, right? So
Yeah.
how a lot of the negative emotions can trigger us and can really lead us astray, kind of get us off track of our path to our goals, right? And so I find that there's each emotions has an emotional ninja hack, right? And actually, you know, some of the three tips that I gave are part of my emotional ninja hacks. Courage, applying courage, getting in connected to courage is the emotional ninja hack for fear. If you ever
Yeah.
feel triggered into fear of whatever it is, fear of rejection, fear of ridicule, fear of embarrassment, fear of, not being enough, fear of not having enough money, all of those fears, those are all triggered into some negative emotional events from the past. So connecting into courage is that emotional ninja hack, right?
Amazing. So
Now,
the last benefit around like how emotion dictate your revenue is discuss the number one key to finance freedom. Can you share a little bit about that? Like how can a person come to finance freedom to learn your tip, ninja trick around emotions?
yeah, so I mean, as I was saying, like emotional ninja hacks, they're basically these momentary moments of awareness that you use to shift yourself, right? So for example, if I'm triggered into failure, because we've all failed at some point, right? And failure is actually the number one emotions that creates this PTSD, so to speak, in our system, in our nervous system, that reacts really, really, really deeply and quickly to certain negative subconscious patterns, like procrastination, like self-sabotage. So for example, an emotional ninja hack for failure is to get yourself into yes attitude. Say yes to things, even though there might be some uncomfortable feelings, some fear, some doubt. Just say yes and take action, right? So that's an emotional ninja hack here. So when you are navigating your emotions, thinking towards the positive, not towards the negative, identifying that that you might have a negative trigger, but then you navigate yourself towards the positive, and you're using awareness to do that, the key to actually using your emotions to lead your revenue, lead your income earning potential is to constantly shift. It's really to be your own coach so that you're constantly shifting and pivoting towards that more empowering state of being. Why? Because when you're in an empowered state of being, you're taking action, you're motivated, you're actually focused, you're more effective, you're more efficient, you're more productive, you're actually creating. So what I see a lot of the times is, especially in business and with solopreneurs and small businesses, is that they put a lot on their schedule that is just busyness. It's just a lot of things to do that don't necessarily generate income. And so when I'm coaching people and when I'm working with my clients, really have them focus on income generating activities. So
Mm.
income generating activities are the number one key that you get to do to drive your business to revenue as you are navigating and responding to your emotional state. So you're in this dance with your emotional landscape as you're strategizing in your practical business activities. So if you're not income generating and you're not doing income generating activities, there's something wrong with your business structure. And so we need to bring maybe you're missing some strategy, maybe you're missing some specific steps. It's all very fixable and all very, quick to get to the goals that one sets out, but it's all about putting in your schedule income generating activities and letting go of all of the busyness and all of the things that aren't necessarily bringing you the income now, but that are
Mm.
something that's kind of out in the
Yeah.
long term. And it's really passive
Yeah,
and not,
exactly. To you, the audience, you get to, as we get to, when we are busy, we get to shift into be focused. So there's like, are you in business or are you busy? There's a
yeah,
big difference.
yeah,
And to be in business, no matter if you just start up or in it, you get to know step by step as a strategy, and emotion will come up. We get to talk truth here. Emotion will kick you out of the way. You get to know some tips and tools how you can be connected with your vision, because vision is nothing with emotions at zero to be committed to it.
yeah,
Of course, there's
absolutely.
always a feeling, you get to see the feeling. The nerds is not a part of that. Can you share a little bit around that? Like, how can a person really knowing the path, because we all know it, like we can hit sometimes rock bottom, like we lost ourselves, we feel overwhelming, fear have kicked us out of the way. Like what is one tool for you to a person to reconnect with the vision and be committed to it again? Like we commit to the vision.
Well, you've got to dig deep back and find your why again. Why are you doing what you're doing? What is moving you? What's that greater goal that's way beyond, that's bigger than yourself, you know?
Yeah.
And just reconnect back with your why. Once you're connected back with your why, then you can start back up again. You can get the motivation juices going, get back into action, get back focus, right? But a lot of the times it's difficult, right, to do that. So it's also good to go out and seek help, you know, seek someone, you know, whether it's a coach or a guide or some inspirational video or book or something that can
Yeah.
help you also anchor yourself back into that pivoted state, right? So
Yeah. I like that.
it's just really support, it's setting yourself up for success, really.
Yeah.
It's just constantly looking for how you can be and do better.
Yeah. Amazing. So in the spirit of serving and giving forward, I know, Micaela, you have amazing free offer to our dear audience. And can you share a little bit about that? And I will post it in the chat to your audience. So there's a link to what Micaela would share about what that is about.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, so as I mentioned at the beginning, you know, emotions are really what predict and dictate our revenue, like how we lead our business to get the revenue, right?
Yeah.
Whether we're income generating or we're not income generating. We're doing activities that are passive or doing activities that are active. So I actually can measure a person's emotional frequency and tell them what they're calibrated to earn. So what I'm gifting is a free revenue calibration session where I'll measure your emotional vibration. We'll see where you're calibrated on the scale, on the revenue scale, and then I'll tell you what exactly is in your way to get to the goals that you want and give you some tips that you can implement right away to move that revenue, you know, scale, that revenue tick upwards. So
Amazing.
yeah,
Amazing.
it's about 30-minute session and it's uh, really quick and we'll have fun. Yeah.
Amazing. And guys, that link is in the chat, so please click on it. And now it is time for you, dear audience, that is on here. I know there is a chat, questions in the chat, Micaela. So I believe you call Q. So if you like to ask Micaela your own questions, you're welcome to come on to ask about it. If you like to come on so she can see you. There's a couple new questions. Oh, there.
Hi, Micaela. I'm
Hi.
curious, do you have any tips or tricks, links for helping people rewire their brain from a scarcity poverty mindset to more of one of wealth and abundance? So, done a lot of ancestor work towards like getting through the Great Depression type stuff. Done a lot of therapy, cognitive behavior therapy, and EMDR over some trauma and
Yeah.
getting past some of those self-worth and reconnecting to the divine. Still kind of working on the father wound, but figuring out how to just embody or prepare my mind for success and less of the self-sabotage or
Yeah.
procrastination and dreaming, but not getting stuff done because I'm
Right,
afraid to
right.
ask for a chance to try and do something.
Yeah. Great question. So first of all, you've done great work. Like everything that you mentioned is absolutely what everybody should do. They should do all of that inner work, whether it's ancestral, whether it's trauma based, whether it's just mindset, right? So you've done a lot of great work. So my guess is that you're already far ahead. So what you can do now is just really use the tools that you've gained from some of the work that you've done to keep you in that present moment of awareness of those negative conversations. So when we go to lack and limitation, there's these little conversations that come into the brain because science tells us, and actually it's part of emotional intelligence, the brain tries to predict based on our conditioning and based on our past experiences, right? That's why we say triggered, right? That's really another way of saying that the brain is predicting how it needs to function and how it needs to react based on things that it's already experienced, right? So when you are navigating scarcity and going into abundance and prosperity, it's really bringing that awareness to those conversations. I'm going to give you a simple example. We've all done this, right? We go to the store, we go to the grocery store, and there's organic food and there's not organic food. Here in the States, I'll talk about the States because I don't know where you guys are in the universe, but here in the States, things that are not organic are pretty much not good for you. They're pumped with stuff that is not good, right? So if I want to not only be in abundance of my health, but also be in abundance of the things that I purchase for myself and that I give to myself, when I go to the grocery store and have a choice between something that's a bit more expensive, but it's organic, and something that's less expensive, but I know it has bad things, my scarcity conversation, right, would come up with, oh, okay, well, I'm going to go save a few pennies, right? So that's what the scarcity has is, oh, I'm going to buy the thing that's cheaper, even though it might be 50 cents cheaper, 80 cents cheaper, right? My abundance conversation instead would take me to, you know what, even if it is 50 cents more or 80 cents more, I know that this thing is better for me because it's organic, because it doesn't have GMOs, because it's not pumped with hydrogen, whatever, you know? So that's kind of like, and so what happens is it's that inner, it's again, awareness of like, oh, I'm in scarcity. I'm going to pick the cheaper thing versus the better thing, even though it's more expensive. You understand what I'm saying? And we have these inner conversations. They're like these momentary things that come up, and it's awareness that helps us get through them and then change the behavior. So in the moment of picking something, in this simple example, is where then I shift to abundance, right? Does that make sense? Does that help at all?
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Actually, been doing exactly that along the organic lines, and so feeling a bit more prepared for that. It's just getting to the next steps with asking for some permission with family land to launch an outdoor wellness business on the ranch, and that predicting mind thinking that dad's going to say no, you're crazy or whatnot. So I guess that's more
Yeah,
of where
so for example, in that case, what I would say, so if you're having some fear around somebody else's reaction or what they might say, right? A good thing to do is to visualize them in white light and just hold them to their higher self, right? Like the only reason why someone would say something negative is because not the only one of the reasons why is because maybe they're afraid, maybe they're just preoccupied, they're worried, right? It's maybe just a protection, it's a way to protect. So let's hold them in a higher space where they can, right, see the possibility and opportunity. Maybe it's also you allowing them to see your passion, to see your commitment that will help them shift from that usual like negative Nelly, oh no, it's going to cost too much money or whatever they're going to say, right? It's not possible. We're in a recession, whatever the excuses are going to be. It's showing up differently, showing up as the man that already has that business, showing up as the man that can stand up to that negative kind of whatever you want to call it, like verbal and energetic approach from someone else to like, you know what, I know this is going to work. I've done XYZ research. Here's how I've arrived at this. It's really just showing up fully in your power.
Okay.
So that the person has no other option but to enroll in what you're asking them to enroll.
Wonderful. Thank you, Micaela. I think I see the way.
Amazing. Micaela, are you okay? We're going a little bit over.
Sure.
All right, perfect. There is a question in the chat for CL8. I believe this is a question. Can you see that?
Discerning when to quit. Unmet goals. That's a good question.
If you would like to ask Micaela your own question, CL8, you're welcome to jump on, like take your video off so we can see your face. You're welcome to ask the question, Micaela.
Okay. So yeah, the question is discerning when to quit unmet goals. That's a really good question. So, this is what I'm going to say. If you have an idea in your mind, if you have a calling, a desire, if you're passionate about something, there is a way for you to have it, to manifest it, to make it happen, to arrive at that goal. So the question really isn't how to discern about unmet goals, is how committed are you to get to that goal? Because if you have it, you can get to it. And it's really all about just keep going. It's keep on looking at how you can shift to get to that goal. I'm just going to give you an example. Back in 2019, living here in LA, I was living in a small apartment with my then young daughter, and I just wanted to move to something nicer and bigger, right? I just was ready for something that was more expansive. And I remember just coming home one day, I was like, that's it. This is what I'm going to do. I had no idea how to do it. At the time, I didn't have the money to do it. But I stayed committed. I started looking for places that were what I wanted: bigger, better, nicer neighborhood. And I just was committed. I just knew that because that is what I felt called, that's what I was inspired to do, that I would get there just as long as I would keep in action. So what did I do? I constantly focused my action on what it is that I wanted. And it took months, right? It took several months. It took about 6, 7 months, but I did. I manifested the money. I moved into the bigger and better house, and was able to create it. So one could have said, had you looked at my life at that time from from outside, one would have said at month 3, what the hell are you doing? You don't have the money. You can't do this. You're not finding anything that's in the budget that you're willing to spend. Like everybody would have said, just quit. But I knew that because I had that calling, because it was in my space of my desire, I could get there. I just had to keep taking action in the avenue of that goal without quitting, being committed, and I kept going. And eventually I got there. So what I would say to that answer is there is never an unmet goal. It's just it's just you taking yourself out of the game, really, that happens. So if there's a goal that you want, just keep going. Keep staying in inspired action. Keep taking conscious action, deliberate, strategic action, and you'll get there.
Love them. Because there is always a way, like what I really love about it is like there is one out there that is the key for you to come over there fast. There is always one out there that is your bridge to go over the gap, so that you can achieve your goal so fast, because the how doesn't matter. You get to be committed to your goal, your vision, and the how will unfold day by day, step by step. I just love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
To have that security around my vision. I know I can achieve it because there's one out there that is the key for me to create it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the key is really being connected to your why, which is really then connected to your desire, right? If any of you have read Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, one of the things that he says is that you've got to have a burning desire. If you don't have a burning desire, you won't be able to lead yourself to the result, right? And so that's why I said, just as long as you have that inspiration, that idea, that passion, that calling to get somewhere, you'll be able to get it. It might not look the way that you want it. Many times I've gotten to goals not in a straight shot, but in like and instead of like a short amount of time, a lot of time. But the key was I never gave up. The key was I kept going.
Yeah.
And I keep going. My goals change all the time, as should all of yours, right?
Yeah.
we're constantly in this dance with life and dance with our business and what we're trying to create and experience. So as we're shifting ourselves, it's just also shifting how we look at the things that we're trying to create. And as we change the way we look at them, we also change the way that we achieve them.
Mm.
So, and it's okay that it doesn't look the way that we think, you know?
Yeah. And that is, it's just so interesting. I hear that for like 2024 when my coach say on that point, it's okay, it is, you're meant to be where you are right now. I just like, sorry, my coach, I just hate that. It's like, it don't look like how I want it.
No.
So in that point, when a person is stuck in that belief, it was not what I wanted, or this, it was not what I thought about or have in the mind. How can a person shift and knowing it is just that you was going for to create?
Can you repeat that question? How can a person shift?
So when a person is stuck in like, I hear that many times when a person is stuck in like, it don't look like as I thought it should be, or when I have a conversation with my mom or with my dad, it was not that resource that I was going for or going for the big dream. It was not that what I wanted. How can a person shift that mind to see it is just right for you, what you receive?
The universe is always in perfect order.
Yeah.
That's it. The universe is always in perfect order. So even if I, you know, have a month of downturn in my business, or even if I'm having a fight with a loved one, or even if I didn't get to my goal of I don't know, $10,000 a month, or even if you know, just things aren't going our ways, the universe is always in perfect order. Our job is to keep going, taking conscious, inspired action in the path of our goal, and we will get there.
Amazing.
It is universal law.
It
And
is.
that's a whole other like seminar we could do on the 12 laws of the universe, but it's universal law. That's just what the law of the universe, the many laws of the universe says, is that if we take action, first of all, to manifest anything in this 3D world that we live in, you must take action. That's the law of action. The law of attraction, the law of vibration, the law of compensation, the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. They all work together to basically say, universe is in perfect order. Just keep the course, stay inspired, take the action, and be faithful to your why.
Amazing. And my question to you, Micaela, is what advice would you like to give to your 20-year-old young you with the wisdom you have today?
Oh, I just got chills when you asked me that question. My 20-year-old, you know what I would say is just keep going. Don't be afraid. You'll get there. You can do it. Lots of things I would tell her. Don't worry, you're fully capable. Many things I would tell her. Yeah.
Oh, love that. I love that. I don't know if you have more. Maybe it's bye. Thank you. Oh, you're so welcome.
Oh, thank you. You're so welcome.
I don't know if you have more time to stay on, Micaela. A long time
Well,
day.
I am hopping on a plane to go to Europe today, so
Oh, Europe.
I do have to get to finishing my last minute things before I go to the airport.
Amazing.
So I can stay a little bit longer, maybe if there's a few more questions,
Yep.
but then I gotta
Exactly.
jump off.
So
Okay.
if there's someone out there that have a question to Micaela, it is your time now to ask her. And remember, her freebie is in the chat when we click on the link so that you grab that freebie. So raise your hand. You can raise your hands on the Zoom, or you're welcome to come on so you can see your face and you can ask her the question you have.
Yeah, and actually, I just wanted to say something. I just saw CLA's question comment, thank you for reframing how to deal with unmet goals. Very helpful. Keyword is reframing. Yes. Reframing. It's all about reframing our interpretation, right? Because everything that we've experienced in our past that's conditioned us, it has happened because we've given it an interpretation. Again, that is the job of the brain, right? In that prediction mode of trying to predict what's going to happen, it's giving it a judgment, a connotation, a conversation. So it's all about reframing the negative and disempowering conversations from the past into more empowering and supportive conversations that we get to take into the future. I call those power affirmations. I work with affirmations all the time in working with my clients. So they help anchor actually reframing. But reframing is the key word, right? It's taking something that you might think that is not supporting you, something that is disempowering, and giving it that positive spin, and then staying connected to that conversation. It's going back to that conversation. That's why affirmations that are very strategically written. I've actually written a book. If you go to Amazon, search my name, I've written a book on how to write powerful affirmations. But when you tweak and you write, you wordsmith to help the brain predict in a more positive and more empowering way, you create new neural pathways in the brain. Those new neural pathways in the brain become then the new kind of undertone in the subconscious that then keep you focused and on track to the goal. That's really that's the key, is to go from, oh, I'm off track over here. Let me bring myself back on track over here.
Amazing.
So,
Amazing.
yeah, reframing is important.
You're most welcome, CL8. That was a good question also to Q. Thank you so much, both of you, to ask a question to Micaela. And thank you so much for being here, Micaela. And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your amazing freebie. So click on the link, guys, so that you get connected with her, because it's so critical you take some action when you're on live. Because when you go from this interview right now with Micaela and go to do whatever you get to do, you are losing 75% of your learning right now. So you get to act on it, so that you telling your brain this is important, and you make an action on it. So click on the link, grab her freebie.
Yeah, and if you've liked any of this conversation, the reading will go even deeper into the energetic quantum physics type of world, and it's a lot of fun and it's very insightful. So it's complimentary, so take me up on it.
Amazing. And have an amazing trip to Europe.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're so much welcome. Thank you so much.
Wonderful day.
You too.
Ciao.
Bye.